Welcome back, everybody, to Two Guys and a Stack of Comics. My name is Reed. Along with me, as always, is Mike. Mike, how you doing, sir?
Hey everybody, I'm doing good.
Doing good. Good to see you, my friend. And we get to do one of our favorite things today: talk positively about comic books, an area of the comic book world that is my favorite. You are a fan, but had been out for a bit, but a couple series have grabbed your attention. And today we're just going to talk about the overall world of Batman comic books that we're getting right now. Obviously, look, DC Detective Comics, that's the brand. And as much Superman's the first superhero, Batman's been their most important hero, their most profitable hero for quite a while. Mike, I'd posit right now as Batman fans, it might be one of the best times to be a Batman fan in the comic sense ever. And that walking through the series we have right now, we have Batman Second Night, which is both your and I's favorite version of Batman we're getting right now, which is the 1930s, late 1930s, pre-World War II story with Dan Jurgens and Mike Perkins just knocking it out of the park on that. We'll dive
It's
into that
so
a bit.
awesome.
We're getting a main continuity kind of relaunch that's a little bit more easy for new readers. I know this Matt Fraction run that just started really caught your attention, and so we'll dive into your thoughts on that. You get Absolute Batman, which is, I believe, the number one selling comic with Scott Snyder. There's different continuity. And that's not to mention, Dan Waters' Batman Dark Patterns has been a great detective mystery sort of Batman book. You've had Batman Robin Year One, where you've got the focus of Mark Waid and Chris Samney, a great creative team going through Batman's first year with Robin. You put in the main ongoing Batman and Robin book showing Batman's father son relationship with Damian Wayne. You've got Batman and Superman World's Finest with Mark Waid and telling these classic stories in DC canon of just why Batman and Superman are the heart of DC. And then you throw in some Elseworld stuff, like we got a Batman Gotham by Gaslight title where they're showing the Justice League of that universe, and a really fun comic in Immortal Legend Batman, which is kind of those crazy, space-based Elseworld stories. We're eating well as Batman fans right now, Mike, with how much they're doing. Um, for you've been out for a bit. These two that you're reading now that have caught you up. Second Night, you loved First Night along with me a couple years ago. We were both thrilled that it got a second volume. And this Matt Fraction run got you invested. What are they doing well with the character right now, in your opinion, that got you as someone who I know you love Batman, but you hadn't read? I want to say me and you have been friends almost 10 years at this point. I think you had stopped reading Batman when me and you first kind of even met when we used to work together. It's got you
Yeah.
reading. What is it that they're doing with the character that has got you as a fan who kind of lapsed reading it again?
Well, for me, this one when it came out, when First Night came out, um, it was so amazing because it's an easy jumping on point. And I felt like over the years of when I wasn't buying Batman, that Batman was always tied in, it seemed, to all these other books, like when they did the Button and and then when Batman and Catwoman were gonna get married, I was, buying Catwoman and Batman.
Yep.
And anyway, there was always seemed to be these tie-ins. What was that one? The Dark Metal or whatever.
Dark Knight's Metal with all the alternate Earth Batmans. Yeah.
Yeah, and it just got to be too much. But I was looking for new jumping on points, and now we have Absolute Batman. That was a great jumping on point. First Night was a great jumping on point, and then this one here, this new number one, uh, Matt Fraction is telling a really good story, and so there's some things in continuity that you only have to read between the lines, and you don't have to go back to figure out why Commissioner
You don't have
Gordon.
to read the 30-page Wikipedia entry to figure out everything that's going on.
Yeah, Commissioner Gordon's now a beat cop, I guess. He got busted down.
Yeah.
So anyway, but I can roll with that and I can enjoy the story. So I'm back on board. Reading three different Batmans now. So that's new for me.
Yeah, I think what they're doing so well, the versatility of Batman as a character, and I think similarly why he's my favorite hero here and where Wolverine's my favorite character in Marvel is both Marvel and DC understood the versatility of those two characters. In Marvel, you can put Wolverine in a spy story, in a ninja story, in a space-based story, in a traditional suit, and he works. And
Yeah,
Batman, you can tell these larger life, colorful stories in Gotham where he's fighting superpowered villains. You can also put him down in the grease and the grime of Gotham City, investigating murder, and he feels at home there. And I think what they've done such a good job. You and I have talked the last couple of years. Our favorite comic book going is Conan, and the
yeah,
reason you and I have loved Conan always feels like a book that as long as you started the arc, you can figure out what's going on. Because
yeah,
what's interesting is as much as there are some collective threads that have happened in Conan, Jim Zub in that book has told very different time periods. There's been stories where Belit is alive and he's working with Belit. There's ones where he's young. There's ones where Belit is dead. There are King Conan stories. But they've kind of found this fixed timeline of Conan stuff. And then you just read a story that adds to those fixed points. And what I think they've done with Batman now is they're using these elseworlds and other titles like Batman and Robin Year One, where they're like, hey, this the Batman Dick Grayson relationship is fixed in this area, but we can tell a story from that time. And if you
yeah,
love that time of Batman, you've got that as an alternative. Alfred's dead in the main continuity, that Batman Dark Patterns book. They're like, hey, let's just approach it from a classic standpoint. Alfred's alive, and this could take place anytime between when those events happened. And I
right.
think the fact is they're using the versatility of the character to tell other stories that work. I think Second Night and First Night, that first volume, what a brilliant idea to go back in with these Black Label books to kind of go, hey, what if we just did stories of like, hey, Batman's still in the 1940s, and it works equally for the character. I think that's what's so impressive is they are putting where Batman right now. I think they are letting the creatives truly create the stories they want. I think for a long time, and I think Tom King's run was a huge part of this, and some I blame on him, some I blame on DC. There was this kind of push, it seemed like editorial would limit creativity. And then it almost seemed sort of like the MCU, where it was like if a director was really, really great, it was like, yeah, that's awesome, but we need you to stay within this framework. And I think in movies that works. In comic books, when you have 9, 10, 12 Batman titles, let these folks have some free reign. Let them have fun. And I think that's what we're seeing is when you read Second Night, such a different story than the main continuity Batman. And when you read something crazy like this Immortal Legend Batman comic that's like space based and it's almost like a Power Rangers inspired thing, you can
Yeah.
tell that's completely different. I think that's what they're doing well with him right now, Mike, using that versatility. Why do you think it is? Do you think it's just he's such a sales powerhouse they let them do that? Or do you think it's just DC doesn't trust their other characters the way they seem to with Batman right now?
He's the moneymaker, so whatever book you put him in, it's gonna sell. But what we've always, been asking for is, a fresh look at continuity and their top creative teams and some fresh new material and they've and good jumping on points because like we've always said, it's not that we're tired of Batman. We just want good stories and good artwork. And that's really coming through right now. I mean, this is a well drawn, well written comic. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and it's great. And this is just next level. It's amazing. I would be interested in how many of our viewers, got this. And I don't know if you're, familiar, but it's in magazine format, and the artwork is just stunning by
Yeah,
Mike.
Perkins so well.
It's so amazing. It's got this cinematography to it. It's dark. It takes you back to that time and place. And, it's just breathtaking. Every page, every panel, it's just so well done. And it really puts you back in the era. So yeah, I'm all in on this. And then, this one with Scarecrow in it, it's really turning out to be a good story. And, Batman's drawn different. He looks different, but it's a different era, so it works. It's amazing. There he is in the gargoyle pose, the famous
Mm-hmm.
Batman gargoyle pose. It's good stuff. If you like Batman, this is what you call what we got going on here is a Batman banquet, if you will.
Yeah, like a
Yes.
cornucopia for the comic book fan kind of thing. And
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that's happened is I feel like with Batman, they're finally realizing there's so many fans out there that you can kind of put a book out there for different folks that they can go to. And he's such a popular character that you're going to find an approach that hits with some fan. I
Yeah.
think the other part that's really worked is the different time periods is the key to this, and that having this partner, it's been so interesting to me to say he had this partnership book with him and Superman that's just set in classic DC continuity. And I love World's Finest for that because it isn't you have to be aware of everything happening in Superman continuity and everything happening in Batman continuity. It just lets Mark Waid go like, okay, here's Batman, here's Superman, you know him, you love him. We're going to
Yeah.
throw him into these DC stories, occasionally going to interact with other parts of the DC universe. But DC, they're not so concerned with timeline. With you need to be up to date on DC Dark Knight's Metal and this thing. It's just if you like Batman and you like Superman, here's a book for you. Same thing they're doing with Batman and Robin with year one with Mark Waid. Same thing with that Batman and Robin book with him and Damian, where it's just, hey, we've got Batman who's a father now and has a teenager living with him. Why don't we do a book that focuses on Batman balancing being a dad and being a superhero? And I think
Yeah.
that's the cool thing they've done is the books don't feel repetitive anymore. I think for a long time we've always had 10 to 12 Batman titles out there. I think what they're doing so well is with Absolute Batman and with Dark Knight, the Dark Patterns book, you're getting very different books that all kind of contain the same character. And this isn't even to mention, you've got Detective Comics, which I don't think has been very good lately. And then you've got the Batman Hush 2 with Jim Lee that's still coming out as well. There's just so much. And I think it really shows that DC right now, you can say it's overindulgence on the Batman side. You can say, hey, you should trust other characters. But like you said, he's the moneymaker. He's the one who keeps the lights on, and that versatility they've given him lets you tell all these different stories.
Yeah.
Do you think he's a unique character like, do you think, Mike, if they took this approach, let's say sales wise, they could? Do you think that this technique would work with Superman, with Wonder Woman? Or do you feel like those characters, is it creativity limiting that? Or do you think it's just they don't trust the character enough of why they don't do a full fledged push like this with some of the other two parts of the Trinity?
You gotta build the character back. And I really feel that some of the other properties, like Wonder Woman, or Superman, or maybe Flash, could
Maybe Flash too.
could benefit from something like this. And they just have to, time will tell. I mean, you got to try it out on your number one guy first. It's not like, you know, in the 90s when you had the X-Men explosion and you had, 14 strong selling X-Men titles. Now they try and do that. 10 of the titles are canceled, within months.
Yeah.
Um, and these Batman books are all selling fairly well, I believe. This
Most of them.
second night thing was a big chance to take, but it's beautifully done, and they included the hyphen in the name,
Mm-hmm.
notably. Um, and yeah, I think that they could benefit. You'd probably have to start out slow. It'd be cool if they did a Superman one like this from 1938, and that would be awesome. So this is a proving ground, I feel. And if Batman sales come back, um, and they come back strong, like we've always said, it's not that we don't like, our superheroes. We just,
They're just
we
not telling stories we want to see.
exactly. And when you go back to formula and start telling those stories, you're going to bring back some of the older customers like me, but you're also going to, bring new readership.
Yeah, I think the trust factor in Batman that DC has, and obviously, look, he's justified. He's their number one brand. And look, as a fan, would that be my favorite character of all time? I love it. I will say there's a part of me too that looks at them and goes, "You guys need to try this with these other characters."
Yeah.
And that, the one thing I'll say is Wonder Woman is a character I've always liked. Always liked Wonder Woman. I think she's one of the best characters in comics. I've never really bought an extended run of Wonder Woman comics.
Yeah.
until Absolute Wonder Woman came out. And they found an approach and a work and a creative team that worked on that book. I'm like, oh, this is different, and I'll pick this up. But the fact that, like, look, and I'm not here to dunk on or trash the writer, but Tom King is just a writer I struggle with now. And I used to be a huge fan, and he's writing Wonder Woman. And honestly, that book has just been really, really not great, in my opinion. If you like it, good for you. Um, but what sucks is like that's the only place she can go, right? If they had with Batman, if you hate the main title, hey man, if you like the character, there's 11 other options for you. And I look
Yeah.
at a character like you mentioned, Flash. I think this approach they're taking with Batman of just let's tell stories from different eras. And we can trust that you're okay that it doesn't always have to be the next thing set in the current continuity. I imagine,
They did it with Jay Garrick.
I
And you
imagine with the Flash, if you got a creative team and they did the Conan approach of hey, 4 issues of the Flash series are set in the 1940s with Jay Garrick. And then the next arc is 4 stories of Barry Allen, and it could take place at any point of Barry Allen's career. And then after that, we're going to do 4 more stories that are focused on Wally, and then we bounce back to Jay. I think as a Flash fan, you'd be like, dang, man, that's really cool that we have
yeah.
it. And it would be a different approach. I think Superman, like you mentioned, you know, the one thing that I feel bad for Superman fans, Dan Jurgens, the guy writing that Batman Second Night thing, Dan Jurgens is great creative. Some of the greatest Superman stories of the last 30 years are Dan Jurgens. And it's like, man, I wonder if Dan Jurgens had done this 1930s esque, especially when they had Lois Lane show up in Batman Second Night. You're like, man, it would have been really cool to see a 1930s kind of pre-World War II Superman. And maybe it's a proving
We,
ground, but it would have
maybe
been
we
great to
will
see.
get it, right? Hmm. I assume
Yeah,
somebody like probably at DC last year when this was a success, probably somebody in DC said, maybe we could do it with Superman.
I would hope we do. And I think I do think they just need to show a little more trust in some of the characters. And I think one of the coolest things they let Batman do, and again, I know it's because he's the moneymaker. And I'm not here arguing that any of these books should go away because I love having every week that I basically get to pick up 3 Batman books. But I do think DC's got to invest as much as this is a complimentary video of how well they're doing. I do think you have to invest at least in your big guys, in Superman and Wonder Woman and Flash. You can't let those brands just be in one book. And I know there's the absolute versions of those too, but I think that what they're doing so well with Batman is like you said, these ancillary books, the Batman and Robins, the year ones, the second nights, where for you, what got you reading Batman again was not the main continuity book, it was First Night, and that was approach
Yeah.
that hit you. I
Yeah.
have to imagine there's Flash fans and Superman fans and Aquaman fans and Wonder Woman fans, where if you threw an approach like that at it, that might get them reading again. And then once you open that door back up, it's a lot easier for you to try a second book. Because, like you mentioned, you kind of dipped out on the Batman thing because it was like, man, I don't want to read 6 to 10 books. And then once you dip out, you start seeing there's 8, 9 books on the shelves. You don't know which ones are where and where they take place. And it just becomes like X-Men. It's like, ah,
Yeah.
you know what, man, I don't want to buy 14. I'll just buy none. I think if they did this with not, you don't have to do the Batman full press of like 14 books, but I
Yeah.
think you could have a World War II set Flash book focusing on Jay Garrick that
Or
might
Wonder
get
Woman
people
from
Wonder Woman one where you could do, you know, because Wonder Woman, I think they have World War One even is where Diana
yeah.
showed up in the movie, right? You could do something like that, or I think you could just take it in different places where
Yeah.
people could go with it. I think it'd be interesting, but I will say kudos to DC, man. I love what they're doing with the Batman corner things, and I know, you know, we get so many negative stories about comic books. I think if you're a Batman fan, the great thing right now is if you go to your local comic shop and there's any era of Batman that you like. You want to see him partner with Dick Grayson. You want to see him partner with Damian. You want to see him on his own. You want a detective story. You want something fresh and new like Absolute Batman. You want crazy stuff like Gotham by Gaslight. You can find any of it. And I think that's really cool that they're doing that. And I know for some DC fans, it's annoying because they think it's too bat focused. But if you're keeping the lights on with Batman sales, you got to do something. I think they're finally finding some books that work.
Absolutely. It's a Batman banquet out there. And it's good stuff too. I love
Yeah.
it.
No. And if you have not checked it out, Batman First Night came out last year. That was a 3 issue one. Well worth your time. Mike and I actually did reviews on each of those issues as they came out. I can link those below. Well worth your time if you haven't checked out a Batman book in a long time. A really cool and fresh approach. And they just started this second one of Second Night, which is a follow up to it. Same creative team. It's fantastic. One of the coolest and best looking books you can pick up across the board. But as always, folks, let us know what you think down below. Are you enjoying where they're at with Batman right now? If you are like me and you're picking up all of them, what is your favorite Batman title currently? Let us know as always. Thank you for watching, folks. God bless you. We will catch you in our next video.
Thanks, everybody.